Hello and good day to you, everyone watching us at this time. Wherever you are watching us, I want to bid you grace of God upon your lives and your work in Jesus' name. This is The Citizens on Dove Television. And my name is Mike Adekunle. Good to have you back again with us at this time as we look at our dear nation, Nigeria, the state of things, and all and what you need to know as you being the citizen of Nigeria, and having a way of calling out our leaders into responsibilities. Just before we came on, we were, talking about praying for Nigeria, and it appears as if, okay, what kind of prayer should we be praying for our dear nations right now? Should we be praying that the Lord blesses Nigeria, or what? Because it appears that the Lord has blessed us already with so much of mineral resources that we have in the land. And the Lord has so much blessed us, even in the face of health challenges and sickness and disease breakouts here and there. God has so much been gracious to us in Nigeria that whenever some of these outbreaks of diseases happen, we don't have so much effect of them on us here as a Nigerian. But then it appears that our prayer should still be on, because the Bible has enjoined us that when it is good, we should pray. And when it is not good, we should also pray. We should pray without stopping. We should pray without ceasing. So we shall still continue praying for Nigeria. And while we are praying for Nigeria, I think we should include in our prayers that the Lord gives us good leaders. Yes, if you will agree with me, I think that should be our prayer request. All right, on the program today, I'm being joined with another erudite scholar, a lawyer by profession, a pastor, a child of God, and a concerned citizen of Nigeria. I'm talking about a national development advocate, a lawyer, a pastor, barrister Jide Ologu is my guest today. Good to have you, sir.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time with us always. Always. Thank you so much. All right, so as we kick off, let's start looking at local government autonomy that has just been signed as a bill. So walk us through the nitty-gritty of the autonomy of the bill as a lawyer, what we need to know as a citizen, and how we should go about this. Should it be a sharing news, or a news that should bring or put in damnness or a cold water into our mind? Or is it something we should share about?
Thank you very much. Primarily, it should be a good news. And let me lay a foundation. If you look at Section 162 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended, it deals with the mobilization and allocation of revenue to the tiers of government. And within the same provision, there is this joint account between states and local governments. So
the joint account is constitutional?
Yeah.
Okay.
Before this new dispensation, decision of the Supreme Court. So, which meant that the allocations were not going directly to the local government leadership, but rather through the states. And many have complained that this makes the states now like masters over the local government, which reflected in the appointment of chairman, councillors, and that if you don't dance to the tune of the governor, for instance, and at the end of the day, all that should have gone to the local government probably did not get there. So what the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu did was not to belabor the need to amend that provision of the Constitution. Under the same Constitution, where there are disputes between states and the federal government and things, the Supreme Court is the court of first and final jurisdiction. Just like the days of the Naira swap and things like that, that Kaduna State and some states went to the Supreme Court to say, this policy of the federal government is disturbing our citizens. So, and many were saying, you could have gone to the Federal High Court if you wanted to sue CBN. But the state, they were not suing CBN per se. They were complaining to the Supreme Court that this policy implemented by CBN has brought hardship to us. And that is why the Supreme Court pronounced on it. But that is history now. So what has happened is that the federal government now went to the Supreme Court to say that local government authorities that do not have elected leadership should not even be entitled to revenue. And that revenue should now be given directly to the local government leadership, which we now call autonomy. Yes, properly constituted. And that it will be wrong for governors to now have to appoint caretakers or not to even appoint leadership, because we found in some states where governors were running the system without having leadership at the local government level. So that is what this leadership has achieved. Many governors are not happy about that, you see, and I think it should be good news, because what it portends is that revenue should now be available to develop the grassroots. But having said that, if you look at the corruption profile of Nigeria, in fact, at a time, Nuhu Ribadu, I think as the chairman of
EFCC,
who
is now our NSA,
to local government leadership as plutocrats. So whether the money comes through state or directly to local government, what is the mechanism we have in place to ensure that the money is used for what it should be used for?
And I think what is hidden corruption in Nigeria today, as of today, is lack of proper system. There is no system in place for check and balance of what is coming in, what is going out, how we spend and what we spend, what we don't spend.
You see that we don't have system, or we have demobilized that system. Yes, there are structures. We have the EFCC, ICPC, we have all the, we have the MDAs, we have, but corruption has crept in a way that the system has been demobilized. I read a report about China. After building the wall of China, it was a strong fortification, physically. When the enemies came in, they did not break the wall. They settled the gatekeepers who allowed them in. And that is the power of corruption. And that's why I want to agree with you that there's a need to reactivate our system. Where there are no consequences, corruption will flow. And talking about system and structure, if you read section 15, subsection 5 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended, it says clearly that the state shall abolish corrupt practices and abuse of office. It's there. It's not been repealed.
As part of the functions of the state.
It's one of the major functions, you know. And section 14, subsection 2 of the same constitution says that the security and the welfare of the citizens shall be the primary purpose of government. That means the driving force, the will of government should be the security and the welfare of the citizen. But can we claim to have that? So now, it will only make a difference if we have a mechanism that ensures that whatever allocation goes to local government is spent for the people and not for the officials and the leadership, which is the corruption aspect that we have. And if I challenge some of us now that what are even the responsibilities of local government, many people do not even know.
So
they are to handle roads within the local government, public health, maintain marketplaces, the cemeteries, you know, social care for those who are there, you know, then they collect licenses and things like that. So when they mobilize this revenue, can we claim now that all the roads in the local government's environment are motorable or good, or that the drains are functional? So these are issues. And those things are spelled
Some of
out.
these roads we are talking about, some of them have been taken over by the state governments, you know, in place of the local government. Even the local government. Now, how do we now identify some of the roads that we should call the attention of the local government, you know? So,
the local government territories are defined. And the state roads that pass through local governments are also defined, just like we can define federal roads in states. And that is the issue now. States took over some of this responsibility,
Yes.
perhaps for the financial benefit, revenue benefit. For instance, it is not the business of the state to collect refuse.
Okay.
It is the assignment of the local government, because they are the closest to the people. But some states have hijacked
But
it.
some states are doing it
because
now.
huge contracts are given out to friends, political friends, to handle that. And that is the point we are making.
Meanwhile, it's the duty of the local government
It's the duty of the local government to manage that. You see? So, and like a man said, if the purpose of an object is not recognized, abuse is inevitable. So, for some reasons, we have destabilized the process that should give us a functional society. And we need to begin to redress. Even after the pronouncement of the Supreme Court, some governors are still reluctant. A committee has just been set up now to implement the decision of a Supreme Court. And I'm wondering, why do we need committee again? I'm not, I'm not disparaging the government too. I'm just wondering.
And I want to believe that committee being set up now is not another way of getting allocations and allowances.
Because the concept of the rule of law says nobody's above the law. So if the Supreme Court has pronounced, why should the governor be reluctant? Why should we not implement? Why won't the funds be passed directly? Maybe because the leadership of the nation is familiar with the kind of society we have where different kinds of influence will come on the way of implementing decisions.
But then,
otherwise,
why can't we have these people in place? Because we have the judiciary, we have the executives, we have the police officers right now. They are to enforce the law. So why can't those who are meant to enforce the law come out to enforce the law and not set up another committee?
Why do we need force to enforce the law?
It's because of the behavior of the
Supreme Court
people.
has spoken. Then implement. Office of the Accountant General, pass this money directly to local government. But what I'm saying is that make sure you monitor the recipients of this money so that this money is used. We call it ROI, returns on investment. You don't just release money to them and them. And I also said something. Now, Supreme Court has declared, release the money of local government to local government. Okay. But the political influence of governors are still there. It's not easy for you to become a local government chairman.
Definitely.
Under the godfathering system. So what about if local government chairman and councillors and all of them receive the money and still take it to governor? That,
Daddy, these are shares.
The money has come.
The money has come. How do
what
we
you
go
give
about
us
it?
what you. So we need a solid system in this country that will implement the spirit or primary purpose of government.
But what about the electoral system that should bring in the leaders in the local governments in the first place?
The electoral system is there. You know, you have the state electoral commission that we organize. But how many states even organize elections?
That is
they just appoint, some of them just appoint caretakers.
My opinion, the local governments now will still remain under the states, because if it will be that the state will still be the ones controlling and organizing elections, they are still having them in their pockets. Now, why can't INEC be the one to arrange for these elections?
Constitutionally, INEC cannot. That argument came up.
Oh, really?
INEC may say I can, but the laws will need to be amended. Because as it stands, it's the state electoral body that will conduct elections for local government.
It's as if
and that's another power under the governors.
The governors?
Yes. But that also is possible. If the federal government was wise to go to Supreme Court, if, you know, Section 4 of the Nigerian Constitution, 1999 as amended, says that the National Assembly shall make laws for the peace, orderliness, and good governance of the country. You see. But will they willingly make the laws? We were debating this thing somewhere. You will realize that quite a number of those who are in the National Assembly were once governors.
Yes.
Those who have not tasted governorship have the ambition of becoming governors. And all this will influence the kind of laws they make for the nation. Wow. So eventually, we may come back to the citizens to activate their own mechanism to monitor transparency, monitor performance, to say, we are in a local government, you should be able to trek from your house to the local government area. You may not need transport.
It's not like that in some areas here, especially in the West here. It might be like that, you know, in the north.
In my local government in Lagos, I can trek from the
my own local
to...
government here in Ogun State, for instance, I'm in a local government that is perhaps the largest in the country.
We have some like that. But you can go there, you can mobilize.
Yeah, sure.
Go there that you want to know what is going on. So people also must begin to demand accountability. But again,
because in a situation where we have seen some states right now who have conducted their own election, local government election, and you see that it is the party in the government, the party in the seat of the state as the governor, they are the one clinching all the positions. Again, councillors, the chairmanship and all that, they are still the one in power. You know, and I think it is their party system, party structure. So whatever flows from the state is still within the local government. So it's still party arrangement.
It's the influence I mentioned earlier. So it's now up to the citizens and electorate to wake up and decide what they want. And again, I was going to mention the state of the economy is so impoverishing that politicians have upper hand over electorates because some still have this mindset that it's only through elections I can grab a piece of the cake, you see. So, and that is the mindset of Esau.
And don't you think that is a deliberate act from the politicians to perpetually keep the citizens poor, so that whenever they come again, they can, you know, spray some things, some dollars, some nairas before them, and they really get what they want from them? Because when you look at the economic situation right now, those who are thriving right now are the politicians. We used to have the middle class, the lower class, the upper class. I don't think there's anything like middle class anymore.
You know, Hosea 4:6. Hosea 4:6 says, my people perish for lack of knowledge. So if the politicians are deliberately impoverishing the people, should the people also deliberately
impoverish themselves,
remain in that slavery? Esau was hungry, and he went to his younger brother. That, give me food now or I die. And the younger brother was smart. He said, okay, give me your birthright. Something must go for something.
Yeah.
And this man traded his birthright over a hunger of 2 hours or thereabout. When some of us, by the grace of God, have fasted for 100 days and we didn't die. And he never got that birthright back. And that is what, and that's why some of us come out to enlighten people. Can your future compare to the peanuts you receive
at the present
towards election? Maximum, maybe some will give you 20,000. What is the value of 20,000? Throw 20,000 into $1 now. How much is that? You see, and some of them get in there, you see the flamboyance and everything. The trending issue now is and that is an issue that has refused to go. It's been on for years. Some senators claiming, in fact, the Revenue Mobilization and Allocation Committee claimed that the salary of senator is about 1 million plus. And Shehu Sonny came out that is not correct. That is 21 million naira per month. That in his own time in the 8th National Assembly, he was earning 13 million. I think another senator came out to say everything together is about 29 million. And yet, we have the minimum wage, which is 70,000 naira.
70,000 naira.
And a bag of rice now, it's about 80,000 or thereabouts. So minimum wage can even buy a bag of rice. So we need to wake up. So when people come offering you towards the election, bring this and go and learn what the Ghanaians did to some of the politicians that no, don't come and give us palliatives. You know, so we need to actually know where we are going. You know?
Now, right now, because the issue is becoming very, very, very serious, very pertinent, very devastating right now. We can only pray that it gets better, because what we are seeing right now is as if it's becoming more deteriorating by the day, because the price of fuel right now per liter is almost 1,000 naira in some places, you know. But then as citizens, what should we be doing if you will address or advise those who are watching us right now as citizens? And if you are to advise those in government, some of them are watching us as we speak, what would be your advice to them? At least making life better for people as that you have quoted earlier, as their responsibility, constitutionally.
This is a very sensitive issue you have brought, and God will help me to address it. The case of the oil and gas in Nigeria is like what we say in business. There are two divides in business: asset and liability. When your assets overrun your liabilities, you are a successful man. When your liabilities outweigh your assets, you are in trouble. So we are in trouble as a nation. But let me trace the history of the oil and gas in Nigeria. Oil was discovered in commercial quantity in 1956 in Oloibiri, the Niger Delta region, by Shell. We became producer of oil in 1968. And after the political independence, in 1960, we became republic in 1963. The first refinery was commissioned in 1965. As of today, we have 4 national refineries that are moribund because we have a cabal of human beings that have converted the asset of the nation to liability for the nation and crooked asset for themselves. So they will not allow refineries to function. You see, recently, issues started coming up because Dangote arose, and within a space of less than a decade, came up with the largest refinery in Africa. But he shouted. He was not getting crude oil. He had to look to America, to Brazil. You see, until the president now said, okay, give him crude oil, not in exchange for dollar, but for naira. But some are saying no. Some of those producers are saying no. I don't want to mention their names. The NNPC should provide the crude. And NNPC has mortgaged our crude into the future as collateral for some indebtedness, borrowed money.
They have used it to borrow money.
Yes. Okay, now, Dangote said that some of them have blending plants near Malta. You know what a blending plant is? So the allegation is that they bring inferior fuel from Russia to Malta and blend. You know what that blending means? Mix hazardous substance with the fuel to produce what is used by cement factories or to power furnace, like the furnace they threw Daniel and they now bring it to Nigerians to fuel their vehicles and spoil their engines. When the judgment of God starts in this country, some will run helter-skelter. They won't see any door opening for them as refuge.
Sir, could you believe this? I don't know who must have, tested it. I was passing fuel into my car recently, and mistakenly, it jumps into my mouth. Could you believe I was licking it? Because it was salty, tasting like salt. I was like, this thing is, so like salt.
These are people who are pursuing wealth. Wealth for what?
To damage, to the detriment of people's life.
Is now, a lot of issues are now coming up. They are denying and the name of a major marketer has been mentioned. So you look at your citizens. You bring what will damage their vehicles, damage the environment. But am I surprised? Remember in those days when somebody imported toxic waste, cocoa in the Niger Delta region for money. The Bible says stolen bread is sweet to the mouth, but eventually turns to gravel in the mouth. Because I don't know how to explain the case of Nigeria.
All right.
At a point, about 100 billion naira was used to turn around a moribund refinery. As we speak now, NNPC still has staff that they spend money on, they still maintain overhead and everything. Our president and commander-in-chief of the armed forces, whom I respect so much and love, I pray that he will succeed in office. He himself is the minister, the substantive minister in charge of petroleum. So why did God commit any crime by making Nigeria the largest custodian. Nigeria is the largest deposit of proven gas in Africa. I think the 6th largest in the world.
Yes, cooking gas
And
right now, it's about 1,300 naira per kg.
How many people are even using cooking gas? People are using charcoal and
all right, let's
of,
quickly go for a break. We shall be back. All right, viewers, kindly stay tuned with us. We shall be back after this short time out. Welcome to a platform for a robust, inspiring, and engaging conversation in the world of politics and governance, business, education, and more, and concerning you as a citizen and your civic responsibilities. Watch The Citizens on Dove Television at 1 p.m. every Tuesday, West African time, and a repeat broadcast every Thursday at 11 p.m. The Citizens, we are all in this together. All right, glad to have you back again on the program. We just observed a very short break there, and now we are still looking at the issue of the local government autonomy and the welfare of Nigerians, even in this current dispensation. We've been looking at the issue of fuel, scarcity. But then my guest is still very much here, Barrister Jide Ologun, a national development advocate. But then let's now look at the issue of subsidy. It has been declared that subsidy is gone, but in a way, subsidy has crept back into the system. What do you have to say about this?
The president was not the one that commenced the journey of exiting subsidy, but it was not budgeted for. And he was bold to declare that subsidy was gone.
Okay.
The Bible says where the word of a king is,
there is power.
There is power. I appreciated that. But you see, there is this concept of prioritization.
Okay.
So evidently, a lot of revenue got saved for the government. So what happened? This money was added to the allocation of states.
Okay.
Without a mechanism to monitor.
We've talked about this earlier.
That the citizens will be the eventual beneficiaries. So it compounded the hardship. And again, another policy came to complement the subsidy removal, the fuel subsidy removal, which was the harmonization of the FX window.
Okay.
And that's when you saw dollar rising from around 750 or thereabout to about 1,500, 1,006, at a time 1,900 naira. So those two policies now crippled the purchasing power of citizens, introduced hyperinflation, different kind of crises that the government now attempted to treat with palliatives.
Okay.
And reportedly too, the same palliatives that were meant to be for the citizens, some people cornered it and were selling in the market, and DSS started going after some of them. So we cannot deny that corruption is destructive and has really infected Nigeria. So it was not just about removing the fuel subsidy. If, for example, upon removing the fuel subsidy, what was saved was used to activate the Port Harcourt refineries.
Okay.
I know how many billions of dollars has gone into that Port Harcourt refinery that at the time we got a promise that by the end of July or so, till now.
Now we've had
postponement.
There's another promise now by the end of August.
So if you are not productive, you cannot empower your society with prosperity. You see, and so they are disturbing issues. And we have now seen, obviously, and some of us have been speaking to this for years, that there are some human beings, some of them Nigerians, some of them foreigners, who have decided to impoverish this nation. And they have strong influence. And that is why it may be difficult for refiners to work, because they will do everything to frustrate it, because they are used to importing food. You know how much money they make?
Importing food.
Export crude oil to countries that are wise to have functional refineries. They will refine it, keep part of the products for their economy, and they give us with whatever they want to. And we now bring back to the country at a cost, and you see, now sell at premium. Again, we have not also been able to tame the monster of smuggling. The recent fuel increase is also tied to the fact that in neighboring countries, fuel sells for 1,700 naira per liter. So it may be more profitable for marketers to smuggle the produce out of the country. So that means our borders are still porous. So we just have a can of worms of corruption tearing the nation apart. You see, again...
Has he envisaged some of these can of worms that have just been released on the citizens these days?
My president said that we should not pity him, that it was that he didn't beg for the job. He knew what he was going into, but then he needs to be deliberate. That's my advice to him.
He needs to do something very urgently.
We are not even mentioned the case of oil thieves, those who are connecting illegal pipes to the NNPC pipes. What have we not heard in Nigeria? What have we not seen?
But let's just
stealing our crude oil. What will they use that money for, if not to sponsor terrorism against the land? At the time, the federal minister of mineral resources came out to say that powerful people are behind illegal mining in the nation. And that is the truth. And to cover up the atrocities, they sponsor banditry and different kinds of evil. And that is why we have a government. You remember what happened to Joshua? Joshua was recording victory, was so happy. And in one of the battles, Achan stole what he shouldn't steal. And God withdrew victory. And Joshua went praying to God. And God said, I hear prayers, but I reckon more with obedience and righteousness than your prayers. Because before prayer was the word. The Bible says, in the beginning was the word. So it's even the word you use to pray. So for you to enjoy the blessings of God at hyper speed, obedience is key, holiness. And God said, I will tell you what to do. That Achan and his family cannot live, and you still expect victory from me. So until we have a leadership that will rise against the enemies of the nation, you know, globally now, capital punishment is not the in thing. But there are ways. Government's power is next to God's power now, which we know. If you doubt that, go and look how the pharaohs operated in those days.
Yes.
Go and look at the Medo-Persian Empire. Look at the king that called Esther, that go and kill my people. And he told the Inspector General of Police, don't investigate that case. So authority lies with governance leadership. But when we read about oil thieves, illegal miners, different kinds of crimes against the land, then how are we going to progress? Illegal refineries.
But when you consider some of these things, some of these weighty incidences you have just mentioned right now, you know, a particular phrase was common in the last administration. They call it body language. Do you think the body language of this current president is towards addressing some of these serious issues, considering what the president is also, you know, doing himself, the approval or the purchase right now of the new jets, and so many of all these, you know, lavish and, well, I don't know. Do you think the president right now, the body language of the president is towards addressing some of these things you raised?
You know, let me echo what a wise man said. A wise man said, the poor man buys luxury first.
Okay.
The rich man buys luxury last.
Okay.
I will decode it. The poor man just wants to enjoy now. He's not planning any future. The rich man needs a cash flow that will sustain the good life. So he does not embark on instant gratification. I'm speaking in parables.
Yes,
now.
I understand you.
In March 2015, the total indebtedness of Nigeria was around 12.12 trillion naira. And people were shouting. Today is about 121 trillion naira.
Really?
Yes. And someone has projected that it may become 130 trillion by December.
So what are we now doing? What are they doing with the money, the subsidy remover? I thought that should be plunged back into taking care of some of these things.
I told you it was shared to states and local governments.
And we didn't see anything.
You didn't see anything? Are you sure you didn't
see anything? See anything?
You didn't see the SUVs?
Oh.
God bless Mama Rachel Ologu. She used to say that, you know, that bad incidences with laughter. Because what else do we do? Let's even assume that the emoluments, everything is about 21 million per month.
Okay.
21 million naira per month, multiplied by 109 senators. How much is that? Their vehicles fueled by government. So they do not need to care about how much fuel is sold for. And yet, industries are quitting Nigeria. You know, so it's a serious matter.
And whenever they want to speak, they will say, we feel your pain. Are they really feeling our pain?
Yes, they do. Go and do your study. By the grace of God, I've been to some countries of the world. Nigeria is one of the places where both the rich and the poor are under pressure. Yes. Some of them are not better than the beggars on the streets. And I'm speaking spiritually.
Even with so much
with
amount
the pressures on them. They know it. It's just that some of them are addicted to corruption. They cannot think about any other way of life. But I have this to say. It's only God that will not leave office.
Sure.
Man will leave office one day. So if when you are in office, you help to create a decent society, you return to that decent society. If you facilitate a dangerous society, you return to that dangerous society. Unfortunately, you may not know how to maneuver like those who have been there.
Wow.
It's a serious matter. And
all right.
Nigerians have spoken, we have quoted scriptures, we have given recommendations, we have advised. But we shall see what we shall see. And
lastly, on that note, like you just said right now, it appears we have so many of educated, powerful economists. I mean, people like you have done a whole lot. You were showing me the other time. Yeah, we will talk about that also. After this, we'll talk about that. You know, those who have made several recommendations, several advices, counsels, and all that to the government. Why are they not taking it? Why are they not? Or is it that seat of leadership, it's more than what we are seeing?
You know, Habakkuk 1:4. Habakkuk 1:4 says, the law is paralyzed.
Yeah.
Because the righteous is surrounded by the wicked. So they prevent justice from proceeding. And that is the case. You recall that the wall of Jerusalem was down. And Nehemiah in a foreign land, doing well, enjoying royalty, decided that no, I have to go back home and rebuild the wall.
He took it upon himself.
There were these Sanballat and Tobias who were at home,
and they
could not rebuild the wall.
This day
and they rose against. But what did Nehemiah do? The guy mobilized some fearsome thugs. That, okay, if it's the spiritual aspect
we'll do spiritual.
And the building aspect, leave that to me. You guys, anybody you see. And that is why I'm saying, if you don't implement the laws of the land to deal with the enemies of the land will frustrate you. By virtue of Section 5 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended, the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces is vested with the executive powers to preside over the affairs of Nigeria. And that is why when he said subsidy was gone, subsidy disappeared. But I understand now that it's been reintroduced, but I'm not confirmed. I don't know because there had been some, this new trend. And let me say this by way of my humble advice to my President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, whom I respect so much. Sir, when all is done and said, it's your name that will be on the cover of this tenure under the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And permit me to offer you $200, Pastor Mike, in 5 seconds, give me the name of the Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture in the Second Republic of Alhaji Shehu Shagari. In 5 seconds, I give you $200.
I don't know, sir.
You won't know. But you won't forget Shehu Shagari.
Definitely.
That's the point. And that is a lesson for leadership.
Nobody might
You
need
have
to
more
remember.
people around you
Yes.
wishing you fail as the benefit than those who wish you succeed. In fact, an old man was advising his son that, hey, son, come on. It's not only your enemies that do not want you to succeed, though. Even success does not want you to succeed. That's the story of life.
So you are the one that will stamp your feet.
Exactly. So it's over to my president and commander-in-chief. If in his own tenure, Nigerians rejoice, it should be written. Now, oh, during Bola Ahmed Tinubu, people were rejoicing and happy. It should be there. History cannot be arrested. Can you arrest history?
Never.
Historians, in fact, they are very quiet people, compiling what you cannot send DSS after them. You cannot send police after them. You cannot send soldier after them. They are busy documenting. And at the end of the day, they close the chapter. They close the chapter. There was a time in this country a president paid our debt substantially.
Yes.
It's there. You cannot go and change that record.
Nobody can forget that.
There was a time in the days of General Yakubu Gowon as the head of state, who came out to say the problem of Nigeria was not money, but how to spend the money. And the recommendation came, Udoji Award, and they awarded money, and now we are in poverty. Several issues. You see, so it's up to you.
Well said. We want to say very thank you to you, sir.
Thank God.
You know, thank you all the time for your wonderful analysis,
Thank
your
God.
counsel and all that. It's been
God.
amazing. We bless God for your life. Thank you so much.
Thank
All right,
God.
to all the citizens, let us do our bit and let's make sure it is our best to make sure that we are also contributing our own quota to the betterment of our society. It is not all about our leaders. At least there are still some within our own jurisdiction that we need to make sure that we do to make sure that this Nigeria is better for all, and especially for generations coming behind us. Thank you so much. My name is Mike Adekunle. I will see you again next time. Bye for now.